Let's take a moment to imagine life without some basic rights. Imagine waking up in a world where you couldn't go to university, open a bank account, choose your partner, or even vote. I'm not asking you to imagine some dystopian fiction. It was the reality for women in the Western world just 100 years ago. The freedoms and equality women have today weren't simply given to them. They were won through hard-fought struggles. But what had to happen before women even began fighting for the rights? Before they could take any action, they first had to envision a new social order, to imagine a completely different world where they were free and equal citizens, even though that world didn't exist yet. The society they created first took shape in their imagination. This collective ability to envision alternative social possibilities is called political imagination. So, given its crucial implications about our social lives, let me share a glimpse into its essence. Political imagination is not an individual vision or a personal perception of the social reality, but a collective envisioning of a social reality, those that exist in the present and those that could be created in the future. In the example I gave, political imagination used by women changed the society. But is it how political imagination usually works? In fact, political imagination usually works to preserve the stability of the social order. If you think about it, the same political imagination that gave rise to new ideas about women is also the one that for centuries maintained women's inferior status. So, political imagination has two possible outcomes, as generally happens to preserve the social order, and as rarely happens to change it. Let's zoom in on its ability to change. The change brought about by women expanded their democracy. But does social change always lead to positive outcomes to democracy? To emancipate marginalized groups or democratize regimes? The recent events around us clearly demonstrate how political imagination can also generate negative and anti-democratic outcomes. The October 7th attack, for instance, illustrates how the collective ability to envision alternative social possibilities can wreak destruction and fuel oppressive regimes. So, when political imagination drives change, the outcome can be either to cure democracy or to poison it. Since political imagination isn't dictated by the rational and analytical logic, it enjoys potential power to create and invent. This allows us to analyze whether political imagination operates within the existing political paradigm, or it can offer creative ideas without it. Without the paradigm means that the idea's creativity transcends the thought patterns that usually limit our thinking. As you can see, there is no rigid separation between the aspects. They merge and intertwine to emphasize their dualistic nature rather than a binary one, to imply political imagination can shift and transform. My research is not about women or about the other examples. My research applies political imagination theory to examine the relations between Jews and Arabs in Israel. The study asks, what are the political imagination of Jewish-Arabs relations in Israel? By elements, I mean, what are the stories, the memories, terms, actions, beliefs, life experiences, speculations, dreams, and fears that shape how Jews and Arabs in Israel perceive the relations. In order to analyze how all of these elements act, influence, and function, I will map them by the analytical aspect I've just mentioned. the change preserve, poison democracy, cure democracy, or within, without the paradigm. The challenge to find elements outside the paradigm led me to a statement attributed to Einstein that says, no problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it. This suggests that to find elements outside Jewish-Arab paradigm means that requires looking beyond the assumptions that created it. So I asked myself, where can I find a research field that isn't shaped by the linguistic, geographic, and educational segregation defining Jewish-Arab relations? I won't take you through the entire journey of finding it, but I'll share this. While presenting multiple options to my supervisors, one of them finally asked, can't you see the answer is right in front of you? The bilingual educational community that has been part of your life for years is the research field you are looking for? That's when I realized that Hagar, the field right under my nose, was meant to be my research site. Hagar NGO promotes shared life between Jews and Arabs through bilingual education in Beersheba, and by fostering a vibrant community life. It operates a bilingual elementary school, kindergartens, Jewish-Arab scouts, and shared community activities and cultural events. I was one of the Hagar's founders and spent over a decade in voluntary leadership's role. 7 years ago, I stepped back, which has given me the critical distance needed to return, only this time as a researcher. Methodologically, this is a qualitative study based on in-depth interviews. The interviewees included Jewish and Arab current and former parents, as well as staff members from all of the Hagar frameworks. Typical interview lasts 2 to 3 hours. Let's take a moment to reflect on one of the interview questions. Try even answering on your own. What is your dream for ideal Jewish-Arab relations in Israel? How would this ideal dream feel and look in everyday life? What is your nightmare regarding Jewish-Arab relations in Israel? How would this catastrophe feel and look in everyday life? Have you experienced anything similar or different to one of these dreams or nightmares in your life, inside or outside Hagar? While I'm listening to the personal experiences of my interviewees, I analyze the collective contents, meanings, emotional intensity, and the symbolic historical context. I wish this research will offer a ray of hope. By analyzing how political imagination manifests among Hagar's community members, it seeks to explore not only how Jewish-Arab relations are preserved, but also identify sprouts for future possibilities. Perhaps they may even offer some cure to Israeli democracy.